Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me for yet another segment of In the Booth here on Central City Radio. I am Jim Bunner, your host, America's greatest journalist. All right, so Columbus Day is bad, according to some of these people. They're not out there celebrating the voyage of Christopher Columbus. They're celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day or other some people have had other holidays that they're celebrating. Well, by golly, we just can't be celebrating that darn Christopher Columbus. Okay, well, on to, speaking of warfare, speaking of bad, violent things that take place. Now, when I say that Indian groups had their bad moments, okay, I'm not just picking on Indian people. I'm just saying, okay, all of us are human beings. All of us have gone to war. All of us do bad things to each other. Matter of fact, even right now, Turkey, I guess, is launching some sort of a war in Syria. And the way journalists are reporting this, I think they're reporting it in about as distorted a bunch of ways as the indigenous peoples celebrators are distorting the facts about Christopher Columbus and distorting historical facts about human beings in general. Okay, I never did think for a second that I would ever read a headline like this. I mean, as a journalist, you are supposed to report things in a factual way. Okay, I cannot imagine, when I worked in TV, I cannot imagine if I were to have video for a news story and the video was completely unrelated to the story. Okay, I cannot imagine anything like that. Can you imagine what a news director would do if you put out, let's say that you were doing some story about, I don't know, a horse stable someplace, and you put out video about clowns dancing around. Can you imagine this? Okay, well, speaking of clowns dancing around, ABC News has basically turned themselves into a bunch of clowns because they really screwed up video about this war going on in the Middle East between Turkey and Syria and the Kurds. I never thought I would ever read anything like this. The title of this news story: ABC apologizes for mistaking Kentucky gun range video for Turkish bombing in Syria. No, really, they put this out. They put this, gosh dang it, it's a gun range video out of Kentucky, and they're trying to say that these people in this gun range video are Turkish and Syrian soldiers killing each other. Good grief, this must have been a violent gun range over there in Kentucky. All right, well, let's see here. ABC issued a correction and apology today for reportedly using video from a Kentucky gun range while falsely claiming it depicted a fierce battle between Syrian Kurds and Turkish forces. The network aired footage last night, and this morning, framing it as battlefield video when, in fact, it appears to be from a night gun demonstration at the Knob Creek gun range in West Point, Kentucky. Okay, so these guys in Kentucky, they're just shooting off their guns. Apparently, they must look really scary. They look like soldiers out on a battlefield. Can you imagine this? How do you mistake guys at a gun range in Kentucky for Turkish and Syrian and Kurdish soldiers and possibly even ISIS fighters? How do you confuse this? Well, the footage first aired on Sunday's World News Tonight as anchor Tom Lamas claimed it showed a Turkish attack on a group of Kurdish civilians in a Syrian border town. Okay, he claimed that it showed a Turkish attack on a group of Kurdish civilians. Okay, this is video of a bunch of guys in Kentucky on a shooting range. How do you confuse a bunch of guys out on a shooting range with video showing Turkish soldiers killing Kurdish civilians? Okay, were the guys in Kentucky using local townsfolk as targets out on their gun range? Were they practicing with local people? How do you confuse this? I mean, I'm thinking about a gun range. I'm thinking about shooting paper targets. I'm thinking about shooting like a paper target that's got like a zombie on it or some kind of a killer mutant boar, you know, that I'm taking my gun and I'm shooting at this piece of paper. I'm not thinking about guys on a gun range shooting actual people. But somehow or other, ABC News, seriously, I'm not making a word of this up. ABC News apparently thought these guys on a gun range were soldiers killing civilians. Jiminy Christmas. The cryon beneath this video read, "Crisis in Syria. ISIS prisoners escape as death toll rises in attack." All right, well, here's what they tweeted out. They said, "Correction, we've taken down video that aired on World News Tonight, Sunday, and Good Morning America this morning that appeared to be from the Syrian border immediately after questions were raised about its accuracy. ABC News regrets the error." Good Morning America also tweeted out a correction today that was identical to the one released by World News Tonight. They said they're taking down video, blah, blah, blah. Well, the clip showed people firing tracer rounds as massive explosions occurred in the distance while bystanders used cell phones to record. Okay, so that's what was in this video was there were bystanders using cell phones to record. Did it occur to anybody at ABC News that bystander civilians probably would not be sitting around out on a battlefield with cell phones recording the guys going around shooting, nor would they be recording the explosions going on around them? Did this occur to ABC News? Okay, if this is a war zone, if there's a war going on, okay, I would not be sitting around recording it with my cell phone. I would be getting up and running and screaming. Apparently, ABC News couldn't get this figured out. Okay, guys, this is not something from a battle zone, a war zone going on the Turkish-Syrian border. Jiminy Christmas. You guys couldn't figure this out. And, you know, I'm a journalist. Okay, I'm a reporter. I know you cannot do things like this. This is like the most unethical thing for a journalist to do. The number one rule for a journalist to abide by is truth and accuracy in reporting. Well, for heaven's sake, are you being truthful and accurate if you're showing footage from a Kentucky gun range and you're trying to say these are Turkish soldiers killing civilians? Okay, what this suggests to me is surely ABC News should have known what was going on in this video when they aired this. Yeah, and they aired it 2 days. 2 days in a row, Sunday and Monday. They aired this doggone thing. Okay, either somebody really didn't know what they were doing over there, and they hired some assistant producer that just had no clue what was going on, and nobody else happened to notice it, or it's entirely possible that ABC News is just trying to over-exaggerate what's going on between Turkey and Syria so that they can make Donald Trump look bad. They're trying to sensationalize the news. Okay, this is all I can think of. Is it possible that the Turkish invasion really is not anywhere near as bad as the news media might be trying to make it out to be? Okay, if they need to use video of guys in Kentucky on a shooting range and try to make this out to be some terrible war zone in Turkey, or it's in Syria. Okay, the Turkish guys are in Syria. But if they're trying to make this out to be this terrible war zone in this place where Donald Trump pulled the troops out and he's no longer protecting our Kurdish allies who helped us in Iraq and they've been our friends forever. Okay, is ABC News just really stumping to extremely strange lows to try to make this war or military incursion, whatever it is, out to be much worse than it actually is, because they're trying to make Donald Trump look like he is incompetent in international affairs. Okay, I don't know how to explain this. They're guys on a Kentucky gun range. There's people in the video apparently filming these guys with their cell phones. This clearly is not footage from a recent war. Okay, does this mean that what's going on with Turkey and Syria and the Kurds and ISIS is nowhere near as bad as our news media is making it out to be, and the news media is just trying to make Donald Trump look bad? Well, you know, I wonder if some of these people at ABC are among the people who want to see Donald Trump impeached. And I know all of you out there have heard of the poll showing that a majority of Americans want Donald Trump impeached. Okay, well, the news media may not be reporting complete facts in this, and the facts have come out, but they need to be reported. And we'll report those facts right after this on Central City Radio.